2025 and we live, baby. We thriving in 2025 and baby. And it ain't no surprising. What up? Welcome to the live. Thank you for clicking on this video. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. You know what I mean? Shout out to if you're seeing this on the rewatch. The whole rewatch gang, what up? Shout out to you if you jumping in on the live with me to joining in on this conversation. I go by NOS or No Snero, Noise Over Silence, No One Son. Now we're on stage, North over South, North or South. Matthew, you already know. I titled this Think Before You Speak Part 2 because the last one was really good. And it got me thinking. It was so good that it got me thinking even after the live was over, especially because there was so many weird ass people jumping in and leaving weird ass comments that's the norm when you jump on the internet and just open your whole shit up for random strangers to talk to you. So I wrote a journal piece and I wanted to share that with you. Smart Savvy was good. Peace to you, love. So I wrote a journal piece and it was the shadow version of the last thing I recorded. The last thing I recorded was the 5 questions you should always ask yourself before you speak. The 5 questions are, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it important? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And if you're not answering yes on at least 3 of those pieces, then you probably shouldn't say nothing. You know what I mean? And that's been a motto of mine since the early 2000s. It's how I rock. So I wanted to put other people onto that so they can move through life, through this crazy ass journey we call life, with that same type of a motto. But like I said, in the last video, there were more people than I expected who joined the live. So shout out to everybody who joins the live, negative or positive, because it helps me in the YouTube universe and all of that. But there were so many people who jumped in and said like just wild negative shit. So I was like, all right, let me do the shadow version to Think Before You Speak. And it came out pretty dope, if I say so myself. So instead of, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it important? Is it necessary? Is it kind? The shadow version of that is it triggering? Is it hurtful? Is it impulsive? Is it negative? And is it knee-jerk? And if you're answering yes to 3 or more of those things, then maybe don't say nothing at all. Maybe reevaluate your position. But again, when people jump in and jump out the window and they start talking negative, stupid shit, making crazy ass comments, they quickly get filed under the impulsive shit, because when you are talking impulsively, you're not really thinking. And knee-jerk, like, it's an inflammatory type of an action. It's a reaction. It's a trained action. And a lot of people, more than not, operate from this type of a mindset. So that's basically it, man. Thank you, for joining in. Olivia Cuz was good. Mrs. Clayton was good. Yes. Today has been a blessing. Today has been a blessing for sure. I just got off the phone with I don't want to ruin it, but I guess I can say this much. I got off the phone with a show that's on TV. I don't know like what channel it comes on, but I know it's on TV. And very, I get casting things to my email or whatever, but it just so happens that my ex-partner entered me in. She applied for this show for me to be on. It's called Relative Race. I don't know if you've ever heard of the show, but it's the premise of the show is you meet up some random place in the country, you have a little short competition, and then you drive off to go meet some mystery relative that you didn't even know probably existed. And in my journey, I probably have many of those. So I feel like I'm a good candidate. They felt like I'm a good candidate. And so I got off the first interview with them. It sounds kind of promising. The cash prize is like $50K. It's like a 14-day filming process adventure. So it should be pretty fun. The only thing about it though is you need a second person, and I don't have off the top of my head somebody who I can do that with. Somebody who can take 14 days off of whatever it is that they're doing in their life and drive across the country with me to meet, you know, relatives, blood relatives that I didn't even know exist. It'll be fun. Unseen was good. Yeah. That's why I said, because so we can all keep this picture in our mind. I could definitely use the 50K. You already know. Even though that shit don't film until next year. She said like the fall of 2026. So we got a whole year to go. I plan to be in a much better spot by then. But either way, it's still a process to get actually casted into the show. I've been casted into a bunch of shows. I've been casted into what was it? Temptation Island. Got casted into that. But well, at least the last round of that. Raid the Cage, got casted into that. We made it all the way through. Like we were waiting on them to send the tickets. But something happened and we couldn't go. So it is what it is. But maybe the third time is a charm, as they say. Third time is a charm. So let's talk a little bit about this Think Before You Speak part 2, because I wrote ample notes on it. I wrote this because of the morons who try roasting me, knowing they can get blocked. Can't really roast them back because they're hiding behind their keyboard. I'm not scared of anybody on here and what they might say. I know me and I know how I live. Also, they probably just mad because they see me doing what they wish they could. They mad because I'm in a room full of people. You know what I mean? Shout out to all 12 of you. And shout out to all 4 of you who've hit the thumbs up. If you haven't, please consider doing that. If you are into knowledge, wisdom, over, understanding, if you're into lawful stuff, if you're into critical thinking, if you're into freedom, if you're into hip hop, if you love seeing normal people get it out the mud, please consider subscribing to the channel. You know, that's just to name a few of the shenanigans that I get into here. It is dope, right? It is dope, Unseen. It is fucking dope. And we're gonna get it. So to all the people, even though none of them have jumped in this chat so far, maybe Monday is more of a day to do that. Tuesday, I guess less haters are on YouTube. That's why I haven't gotten much of that today. But what I would ask them if they do ever jump in, and this is just me writing this for myself so I know and kind of keep it in my head. So if somebody just does jump out the window in the comments, I will ask them, where are their brothers and sisters? Did they call them today? Did they leave a message? What did they do today that made themselves proud? If it's coming on my live and talking shit to me, then I guess I'm still the highlight of these people's day. And I should be okay with that, I suppose. But what a low life thing to do. Just float somnambulous through life trying to pull people down because they're too weak to lift people up. Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? Shout out to me for using the word somnambulous. I love that word so much and we never get to use it. Does anybody in the chat know what somnambulous means without going to look it up? Oh, MZO, what up? What up? I am single. Do it that with what you will. So, somnambulist. What is somnambulist? Like the word, you know how we use the word zombie and we all know what a zombie is. The scientific, the actual word for the walking dead or sleepwalking is somnambulism. So that's why I felt I had the opportunity to use that word and I fucking used it. Yeah, so what a low life thing to do, to just float somnambulous through life, trying to pull people down because they, not me or you. These people are too weak to lift people up. And let's talk about that, right? Because I think I've said this a bunch of times. If you ever stand on a chair and tell somebody to stand right in front of you, and then you ask them, yo, grab my arms and pull me down, it's going to be so easy because they already have gravity working, against you. Now, if you're in the same position and you try to lift somebody up to your level from ground level, it's going to be much harder. And that's just a physical metaphor for people, the crab in the barrel, the old crab in the barrel metaphor that we all hear. We'll see what the calm non-evidence is saying. Thank you for that, Face with Adrian, with the bold letters. I've never seen anybody do that before. That's pretty cool. Do you already remember, or are you just starting to remember what you were? I already remember. I always say that. I am remembering constantly because it's easy to fall into the narrative that we're discovering who we are. But I try to remember that we already know who we are. We just have to remember. Sometimes we forget. And who we are is one within the all within the all. So that being said, we always are what we are. We just have to bring back in those things into our existence that we feel we are lacking or going without. But good question, Dayton Steinbach. Appreciate that. Nathan, you're speaking for yourself. So I would say that instead of saying we don't care in all caps, why don't you calm it down a little bit? You know what I mean? Calm it down just a bit. Say I don't care, and you can get the fuck on with your life. Or let me ask you these questions, and don't run away like a little bitch. All right? If you're still in the chat, Nathan Mays, let me talk to you real quick. Let me ask you these questions, and I want your motherfucking answers. All right? Don't run away. Have you called your brothers and sisters? If you don't have brothers and sisters, have you called your friends? Have you left a message? Have they called you? Have they left messages if they couldn't get in contact with you? How about that? How about inviting more of that into your life? Instead of floating around somnambulous on YouTube and jumping into random people's live and talking out your ass, fam. All right, now go, shoot. I'm trying to sound smart. Thank you for that. Thank you for the projection, family. Because I'm not trying. This is actually very effortless. But with your stupid ass all caps, you're trying to be loud. And you can go. And if you say one word, all right, you said something else. So now you get to join the block party. Blocked. Yes, the somnambulist state is where they take you in certain types of hypnosis. I wonder if I can be hypnotized. I'm very skeptical about the whole hypnotism thing. I've always been skeptical of that. What do you think though, Serena? Do you think that it's possible to be hypnotized? Juju! What's up, my love? What city is this? It's not a city. This is the digital realm. Ches, this is YouTube, the application. What city is this? I'm currently in Jacksonville, Florida, if you want to pull up. Where are you at, Ches? Where are you from? What's your age? What's your location? Thanks, Cuzzo, for sending that clutch. Oh, that person was tight. They were sending all types of messages. And that's because I gave them attention. And that's what I was writing in my journal. I didn't finish writing that piece. I was talking about somnambulist, floating through life and all of that, and the crabs in the barrel thing. But people who come in here and the first thing they do is try to pull me down out of this high frequency that I'm on, obviously, are thinkers too, but in the shadow version. The shadow version of yesterday's Think Before You Speak is this. Let me repeat it again. Is it triggering? Is it hurtful? Is it impulsive? Is it negative? Is it knee-jerk? If you answered yes to any of those questions, you are in the shadow version of Thinking Before You Speak, and you probably should slow down. slow down, like Grand Poopa says. Yeah. So triggering, they solicit a reaction from me begging for my attention. That last person who just got blocked. Hurtful. These people prove empathy actually works two ways, which this is a pretty deep thought that I thought for the first time yesterday, is that, did you know empathy can work two ways? Because when we hear the word empathy, we're like, oh, you're lacking empathy because you can't put yourself in someone's shoes, and that's why you're negative towards them, you're condescending towards them, whatever, like just malicious towards other people because you lack empathy. But I started to think, I was like, no, these people are still, maybe everybody's empathetic, right? But you can be empathetic in the reverse of what we actually think it is. And the way that is because they think what they're saying will hurt me, because if they were me and someone said that to them, it would hurt them. And I was like, wow, that was pretty deep, man. That was pretty deep. So again, if you like philosophy, consider subscribing to this channel, because I'm trend setting in the philosophy world. Like the people, the people with accredited degrees who teach philosophy in the university, they don't know my name, but they should. You know what I mean? Maybe one day they will. To break down impulsive. Impulsive is a lapse in judgment. It's immaturity. These people lack the ability to conduct themselves like civilized adults. They will oftentimes be condescending to overcompensate for this. I thought that was pretty cool too. And as far as the negative, these people are lacking. If you think about what's negative, it's a negative number is lacking positivity. It's lacking substance. It's lacking substance. So negative people can't stand themselves, so they attack other people in the only way they know how, which is the only way they know how to attach to people, which is assault. I was just playing around with the alliteration of the letter A and all that. And lastly, knee-jerk, reacting from their triggers and letting their wounds hold the wheel in their life, speaking from places that they did not heal. So I don't even remember that last person's comments and all that, or what their name, what their handle was. But I have to remember, when people speak to me in that way, they're projecting from a place that they themselves have not healed. And I'll go ahead and get back to these comments. I don't take anything in her work as absolute. Whose work? Okay, here we go. I got it. Camille, what's good? Camille, what's up? Yeah, we gonna get to it. Let me just run through these chats real quick. I don't wanna ignore the people. I love my community so much so that I need to pay attention to what they're saying. I think of hypnosis as getting someone into a very relaxed and meditative state where certain people can receive information, or information could be planted as well. I'm sure. Yeah, like I've seen the most common hypnosis thing I've ever seen was like, you're getting sleepy, and then the person falls asleep, and then the hypnotizer would be like, you're a chicken, and when I snap my fingers, I want you to get up out of your chair and cluck like a chicken. So like, yeah, they're definitely implanting something. It's an art for sure. I have trouble believing that somebody could actually do that like that quick. I got really into Dolores Cannon for a while, and she talks a lot about the somnambulist state. Okay, I don't know who Dolores Cannon is. I gotta see who that is. I don't take anything in her work as absolute fact, but I do find it fascinating to read, especially because certain things in her books have come to pass. Facts. I like that. Love the fact that you read. Will you say happy birthday to my sister? Her name is Ayala Vanal. Ayala. Happy birthday, Ayala Vanal. Facts, Juju. Just got back from the library. Printed shadow work prompts by Joanna Ryer today. That's what's up, Vibrant Liz. Thank you for putting people on to Joanna Ryer. I don't know who that is, but it sounds like fun. It sounds like something we all can participate in. Daniel Berry, welcome back. I love that you've been popping up randomly. Appreciate you for joining, family. Star Lost. I think I know who Felix from Stray Kids is. Isn't that like a K-pop, I guess R&B group, or like, yeah, something like that. It's not the first time I've heard that. I don't know why people say that, because I don't see it, but I'll take it. Jacob Field says, Jesus saves. Amen, family. Camille, but before we start, I want you to go fully in depth about your governmental system you posted last time, so I can just get a full picture. You feel me? For sure, Camille, for sure. Well, a lot in her books talks a lot about aliens and things like that. Okay. I feel like my ex-partner read a Dolores Cannon book one time. The name does sound familiar. And she kind of had that same idea after she had finished the book. But yeah, I think with anything, like, you can say absolute foolishness, and if it makes sense, like if you're speaking English, you're gonna have to make a certain amount of sense. So I feel like people who have these broad theories about anything, they always have to build it on a certain amount of truth. And when there's truth present in any narrative, you're going to come across that truth in your lifetime. And then you're going to remember that you read it, and then it's going to, feel like it was prophesized. You know what I mean? But I love that. I love that fact that you read. I love that you're paying attention to the synchronicity that you receive in life from the things that you read, especially when the things that you read are, on the fringe, such as aliens and any spiritual teachings and somnambulism. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get the speaker to stay up on this. All right, there we go. Chris Turner, I subbed, bro. I like your channel description. In the process of starting my channel with a similar vibe. Keep growing, brother. Thank you for that, Chris Turner. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. That being said, you just reminded me. Thank you so much, Chris Turner. You just reminded me that in my description of my channel, one of the things that I should include is my personal philosophies. I feel like I've never really heard of a YouTube blowing up, or a large YouTube channel that just talks about their personal philosophy that's based off of their life. Like, everybody's actually, matter of fact, there's this other channel on YouTube. The dude's name is Nero, a dark-skinned dude. He always wears shades and a do-rag, and he steals from Malachi York. He steals from Drunvalo Melchizedek. He steals from all these teachers like Bobby Hemmett, all these old teachers, Brother Panic, all these, late 90s, early 2000s teachers, and he comes on YouTube, he stands in front of the whiteboard, and he basically regurgitates the stuff that old teachers have taught like it's his original thought. And his channel blew up in the past 2 years. So every time I think of, I'm not hating on dude, but I'm educated enough to know where he got his information from. And also I noticed that he never gives credit to anybody that has come before him, that's something I would never do. But people do that all the time. And so I just gave him free promotion. So good for him. Derek Warren, what's good, family? How you doing today, brother? Tuning in while going on a munchie run before the talks. Okay, I like that. Shout out to Hawaii. What they call it in Hawaii? I want to say Poco Loco, but that's not it. But you know what I'm talking about, Mr. Warren. What do they call it? What's the native word? What's the native word for the herbs in Hawaii? Yes, thank you, Chris. I don't think she's a prophet though, and she never claimed to be because of the information recorded in her books came through her different clients. Oh, okay. So she's a. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Dope nonetheless, though. Dope nonetheless. I wasn't trying to insinuate that she herself is a prophet, but more so of like the things that she says is, if they come into fruition, they become, in retrospect, a prophet, right? Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. Pacalolo, there we go, Pacalolo. Thank you, Mr. Warren. Yes, 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 yes. Welcome back.
Yes, sir. Good to be home.
I know that's right. So, let me get to Camille. Camille wants me to go fully in depth about my government system that I posted last time. All right, I'm gonna try to do the best I can off the top of my head, if you're still with me, Camille. So my proposal starts off with building something new so that the old becomes obsolete. It's not so much like, yo, we need to like get rid of it, but we need to build something new while the government that we have in place becomes obviously obsolete to people. I think that's a Buckminster Fuller quote that I got that idea from. So in this new system, instead of having a couple hundred representatives and these representatives propose legislation, the legislation gets voted on, and then the executive branch executes on the legislation, and then the judicial branch arbitrates the legislation, and then we have the fourth branch of government, which is the media. The media kind of just promotes what's going on in the other three branches. I do like the idea of checks and balances, but what I feel like needs to happen is, instead of having a few hundred representatives that are just put in place by, could be, I don't necessarily believe in the voting system that we have now. I feel like it's been shown and proven that a lot of votes are invalid. They're manipulated. Voting machines aren't really trustworthy, and the written vote can also be manipulated, right? So with those systems in mind, I said, okay, how do we get the votes in the hands of everybody and then have those votes authenticated? So my idea to get the votes in the hands of everybody instead of just the 200 or so people who run the government is to have an app that everybody can download simply on their phone. And what this app does is it basically facilitates a structure or organization of people who want to do better than what humans have done in the past. And so they come up with ideas like, okay, in this county or this state or on this block or in my house, what my family does, we do economics this way. So I would like this system of economics to be presented to a broader sense of people, a broader spectrum of people. And if these people agree with this system, then they too can participate in it. And then there has to be some type of, checks and balances to the system to where other people can look at it, authenticate it, validate it. They can, assure the quality of it, quality assurance. And if it becomes big enough, if it goes viral, then it gets adopted by more people until hopefully the whole country, if not the whole world, does it. And I feel like a good authentication system, the best one that we have known to man right now, is called the blockchain. It doesn't have to be strictly for like cryptocurrencies. It could be anything, such as this. And that's how you validate people's votes to make sure that people don't vote multiple times. And what am I missing anything? I think that's pretty it, Camille. I think that's pretty much it. And I hope that gets you off to a running start. Ken, what's good? Welcome, welcome. It's 3:33 where you at? Love that, Mrs. Clayton. Love the angel numbers. You already know. You probably said that when it was 30 minutes and 33 seconds. It's kind of interesting, and I don't take it all as fact. I enjoy reading spiritual texts and finding the common threads and pondering the truth for myself, and that's why I love you, Mrs. Rose, because I am the same way. Everything that I read, I take with a grain of salt. It doesn't matter how factual people say that it is, how backed up by studies that people say that it is. That being said, another great book that I want to recommend to you all is Lying with Statistics. What's the name of the book? 99% of statistics are made up, or something like that. I think that's the name of the book. How to Lie with Statistics. I think that is the name of the book. Yes. It's a book written by Darrell Huff in 1954. I have the book. I haven't read the whole thing. But very important book for everybody to read. It's not that big. It's only like 90 pages, if I remember correctly. And I think everybody should have that book in their library. Okay, that is a bit of a take on an absolute democracy, and I agree with everything you said just now, but yesterday you made points against any government, and you posted a system of competency test. Oh, right, the competency test. Yes, I forgot about that part. Granting more voting power on government. Okay, so let's start with the beginning. Sitting in my apartment making beats. That's what's up. Can't make those beats, baby. And send me some of them so I can play them for the people. You know what I mean? Democracy. My problem with democracy is this. The staunchest advocate of democracy to ever exist was Socrates, and he was killed himself by a democratic system. So if we were to bring him back to life, I don't think he would be so much a fan of democracy. The so-called founding fathers of the United States of America were fervently against democracy, and that's why America is supposed to be a republic. And the evidence for that is in the, what's it called? The Pledge of Allegiance. You have to, you can look no further for why this is a republic and not a democracy. Just recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the republic for what it stands. The difference between a republic and a democracy is a democracy is majority will, where people come together in a system, in an organization, they vote on certain things, such as a legislation, and the group that gets more votes gets to impose that will on the group of the minority, and that's just the best metaphor for that is 3 wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. Okay, so the reason why we don't want to do democracy and we want to do a republic is because the wolves get to vote on what they have for dinner, but they can never eat the sheep in a republic, because the rights of the individual are always upheld and can never be abridged in a republic, in a true republic. So that's why I'm not for absolute democracy. I can see why you could kind of think that that's what I'm advocating for, but I'm not. I'm actually advocating for anarchy, where the rights of the individual are always respected and people have the freedom to not obey any ruler. That's what the term anarchy means. And without archy, rulers, without rulers. That's all it means. That's all anarchy means. And almost everything is an anarchic system when you really look at it, such as this YouTube chat. And let me get to the second part of yeah. So making points against any government. I am pro organization, not so much for government, because government, govern, the etymology of the word govern is to control. Mint, that is a Latin word for mind. So government literally can translate to control the mind. And that's what the government is trying to do, because it's our faith. It's backed by the faith and the goodwill of the people. Therefore, I am not for any type of a government, but what I am for is massive action organization. Organizations that take massive action. That is what I'm for. That starts within the individual always, and then it branches out to the nuclear family, then it branches out to the extended family, then it branches out to like your immediate neighborhood, like your street, your block, whatever you want to call it. Then it branches out to your community, then it branches out to your county. You know what I mean? Like, you have to look at things systematically in that way, and that's what I'm for. Not for government so much. And oh yeah, and for to talk about elaborate more on the test of competency, is I feel in my system, my ideal system, is there would be numerous competency tests. And this is because I feel like more weight should be given to the people voting on issues who actually are already in that frame of mind, who are already participating in that industry, if it has anything to do with an industry, if it has anything to do with that frequency of an organization. The people who are already participating in it, who know more, who have more experience, who've carried out those ideas, their vote should have more weight than people who are just starting from Adam. And that's why I think competency tests are important for that. For instance, I use this app on my phone called InstaWork, where it's basically like a gig app. But what InstaWork requires me to do before they offer me any jobs is to show my competency for those jobs. For instance, I work in a warehouse. They needed to know if I can receive items, if I can sort the items, if I can use a tool to find the items, if I know how to lift heavy boxes to bring them to the shipping bay, if I know how to use an Excel sheet, a spreadsheet, if I know how to use a forklift. These are all competency tests. And that's what I mean. Competency tests will be very important in my proposed system. And with that, I digress. People do love throwing a statistic out, then 5 years later, the stats change. Facts. Celestial Soul, peace to you. Welcome to the live. Yes, we are a republic. That is a fact. There is no negotiating on that. However, when was the last time you ever heard the word republic said out loud in the mainstream media? They always say, oh, we're fighting for democracy. We have to protect their democracy. Like, that is the bamboozle, y'all. That is the bamboozle. Whenever I hear that word, which was always a lot, I would change the channel or turn the TV off, because I know those people are trying to hoodwink me. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Have you read any books that you feel changed your perspective on life and lifted you up spiritually? And what is the book? There's so many, Mrs. Clayton. So many. I can't even... where do I even start, fam? Where do I even start? I'm trying to think of the very first one that really got my gears going. It might have been Michael Moore's book, Dude, Where's My Country? I read that book in like the 8th grade, and I had no freaking idea. Like, I think I had seen a documentary by Michael Moore and I really liked it. And so I was just perusing Barnes and Nobles one day I saw this book called Dudes Where My Country. I just saw the movie Dude Where's My Car, and I was like, oh, this looks like a book that would make me smarter. So after reading that book, my eyes were open. I was just like, yo, this is trash. The way the system is right now, politics is right now, the way the economy is, the way we're so dependent on oil for things like plastic and rubber. I was like, yo, this has got to change. So that was definitely one of the first books that, and it's not about spirituality at all, but definitely my perspective on life changed after that. And then almost every book that I've ever read after that. Shout out, how could I forget? How can I forget Mrs. Clayton? Mrs. Clayton, you already know what I'm going to say, don't you? You already know who the author is, who the main character is, and what the story is. The author's name is Kishimoto Masashi. The reason why I had trouble saying his name is because it's Japanese, and the traditional way to say someone's name in Japanese is to say their last name first and their first name last. His name is Masashi Kishimoto in English, but in Japanese it's Kishimoto Masashi. He is the author of Naruto. Naruto is the greatest work of literary work ever. I'm talking like it beats the Bible, it beats the Quran, it beats the Torah. Even though his story, Naruto's story, it pulls a lot from those three books. And that's why I feel like the genius that is Kishimoto Masashi it should be brought up more. Like whenever people talk about what is the greatest book ever that you've ever read, people discount manga because it comes out in like, serials, like volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, whatever. Nonetheless, it's one long ass book. It does get transmuted into a motion picture called anime, but it's still one of the greatest stories to ever exist, and I stand on that. I will die on that hill. You will be hard pressed to find a better story. And that not drastically, but definitely, it made me cry, it made me laugh, it did all the things a good piece of literature would do, and it fucking changed me, man. Naruto changed me intrinsically as a human. All right, what's next? Have you guys read When Everything Changes, Change Everything? I think it's called by the guy who wrote Conversations with God. I'm trying to request from my library. We got to Google that, Vibrant Liz. The author who wrote Conversations with God is Neil Donald Walsh. I know that's because that's also one of my, again, Mrs. Clayton, the Conversations with God, an uncommon dialogue, chef's kiss, yo. That book is probably the only book besides Naruto that I've had almost supernatural experiences with. Like the very first time I picked up Conversations with God, it started speaking to me immediately. It was immediately what I needed in that moment. Like I had basically asked it to give me something that would prove to me that this book was written by God. So, it delivered from day one. And there's been so many. Another supernatural moment that I had with that book was I had spent all day thinking about Hiroshima and Nagasaki and how all of that happened, why it happened. And then I was still reading, for the first time, I was still reading Conversations with God. I pick up the book, and what is in the chapter that I started reading? Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and what God thought about that whole incident. And again, I expect if something is written by God to have some type of supernatural occurrence, and it delivered. So I highly recommend that book. I highly recommend getting all three of them. I keep all three of them close. This is all three of them right here. And I can almost guarantee you, if you pick up any one of these books and you flip to a random page, it is going to give you exactly what you need in that moment. Like that's how much I stand on that. Another book that I keep close that changed me, Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. This book right here is just as powerful and prolific as powerful and profound, not prolific, powerful and profound as Conversations with God. Yeah. Camille, but how do you expect anybody to maintain someone's rights, which you said you protect, without any law or policing force to protect such rights in this anarchist world? Good question. Great question, Camille. So, to maintain someone's rights, it's, to me, and you might think this is woo woo, you might think this is a little too fringe, maybe woo woo is what they actually call it. To maintain someone's rights, the best way to do it is to have a change in consciousness, and this needs to happen on a massive scale, obviously, on with every individual. And this most simple way to do it is for each one of us to recognize each other as ourselves. I think I alluded to this in the last conversation where we had, where you are just another me, I am just another you. That is the best way to ever maintain other people's rights. Now, to take it out of the realm of the woo-woo and like make it more practical and establish laws and establish a policing force to protect these said rights in this anarchist world, all we're talking about is the same type of organization that already exists. But the only thing that's going to be different is the power to execute. Because police walk around with guns. And we see, you see where that's gotten us as a society. Police get emotional, just like everybody else. But they have the power on their hip to execute right there in the moment. And they also preserve their power by not crossing something called the blue line. So like, let's say a police shoots somebody, boop, wasn't supposed to, didn't go through, the whole due process of criminality and, having somebody be presumed innocent until guilty or whatever. Police get emotional for whatever case. They execute somebody, their partner sees it, and their partner does not tell. This has been elaborated time and time again in books, movies, such as Serpico, We've all heard this story. So you would be hard pressed to convince me that policing is the right way to go about it, the way that we have it. But antecedent came after. What came before policing was peace officers, peacekeepers. So instead of having police, we would have peacekeepers. And these peacekeepers would be people from the community where the problem arises. Okay, so like, let's say my next door neighbor has a domestic dispute with their partner. The partner calls up the peacekeepers. Hey, we're having a domestic dispute. They're reaching a hotline, something like 911, but police don't show up with guns. Who does show up are people who took competency tests, who know how to de-escalate domestic problems. All right? And if the shit gets too violent, then hopefully one of them, because in my perfect world, everybody's educated in some type of a martial art. So now if the shit comes to the throwing hands, the one person who's trained in martial arts can de-escalate it that way. Okay? Nobody's getting killed. It's just jujitsu. It's a headlock. It's a throw. It's that type of shit. And if the situation calls for some type of a machine, such as what we call a gun, if that's required, then unfortunately that's where I run into like a block. It's like, okay, so what happens? Because I don't want everybody running around with guns. But obviously, if somebody has a gun, the only way to stop a initiating aggressive gun is to have a gun that defends people who needed to be defended in that situation. So ideally, the person would have to be called up, or maybe just like These peace officers are trained in martial arts. They're also trained with a firearm. And therefore, they can equalize that situation if need be. But hopefully, it wouldn't be necessary. But, like I said, thank you for that gift, Juju. Love you, girl. That's basically how that would work to answer those questions. If I am to infringe on another's rights, who's to stop me without a government? The peace officers, baby. The peace officers. Miyamoto Musashi. Miyamoto Musashi, is the author of the book you were talking about. When everything changes, change everything. I love that. I need to put that on my list. Starboy was good. Love you, family. Mrs. Clayton says, my son Desmond is into Naruto. I can tell that it has influenced his life and art. Facts. I mean, if you look at the state of hip hop, if you look at the state of, I don't want to say black men, but definitely black men, anime in general has influenced a lot of our culture. And we were talking about appropriation before, I think with Mrs. Jones, and Mrs. Jones was like, yo, if you Japanese, you shouldn't be rapping because that's cultural appropriation. Let's talk about how much black culture has appropriated the culture of anime, which is a Japanese thing. Muhammad's Soul in Hands of Sun by Mary Jesus Christ, Hadith al-Bukhari, 2222 Sunnah. All right. I don't know exactly what you mean by all of that, but I'll take it. Hello, I believe that's the German flag. Hello, Sage Howells. Oh shit, what happened here? Oh, Juju sent me another gift. Thank you, my baby. Mwah. I love when things like that happen. Me too. Apocryphal Gospels, Matthew 27, 50 through 58. Geneva Bible, 1599. Okay. I like how you dropping the gem, Starboy. It's like confirmation to the soul. That's a fact. Is it just as impactful if you do Audible as opposed to hard copy? Yeah, I would say so. There's not like, the only time where I feel like Audible misses the mark is when there's like a graph that the author is trying to point to. But what I do love about Audible is it allows you to highlight certain, like even though you don't have like an actual a highlighter for text, you can highlight a portion of the audio and save it with some notes, and you can always refer back to it. So yeah, Audible is definitely dope. I fuck with Audible every day, especially like when I'm walking on my way to workout. I listen to the book that I'm currently listening to on Audible is How to Raise an Emotionally Intelligent Child by John Gottman. That book has helped me tremendously in fostering a beautiful relationship with my daughter. Thank you, Mrs. Clayton, for the flower. Thank you, Juju, for the clap and seal. Camille, I hear your idea of the peace officers, but to be honest, especially at the end of your statement, I don't really see the difference between peace officers and police officers. Okay, let me elaborate. The main difference between a police officer and a peace officer are police officers are almost, provided an incentive to not only obfuscate, but to skip due process. Like, did you know that police officers require less training than a barber? Okay? Peace officers would be continually training, like on a daily basis. Like if you're not out on a call, you're within the safety of your home, or there could be like a base, some type of brick and mortar space where they can all get together and continually learn how to de-escalate situations, continually teach themselves basic psychology, negotiation, risk management. They can train their martial arts. They can train their firearms even, because a firearm is a great responsibility. It's a great power, but it requires great responsibility. So there's a huge difference in my peace officers and the police force as we know it, okay? I know it might be hard to understand why that is, but since I've already placed this seed in your mind, the more you think about it, the more you do your own critical thinking behind it, you'll start to see it, what I mean too. Wu-Tang Clan and RZA wouldn't have their influence in the anime culture. Facts. Yo, I think Wu-Tang Clan is one of the do you guys know what the definition of the word impetus is? Me, impetus, impetus. It's like it's a synonym for motivation. Wu-Tang Clan was the impetus for the bond between, I want to say Japanese culture, but you could probably even make it even broader than that and just make it all of Asia, because martial arts is also a Chinese thing. It's not just a Japanese thing. And so they made it very I mean, granted, it was popular with them because kung fu flicks in the 70s were the shit. All of us have uncles and cousins from the 60s and 70s era who were all about kung fu flicks. And like, you know, the flicks that you would watch and the guy's mouth would be moving, but like the words never matched. And like the fucking sound effects and shit. Like we all loved all of that shit and we were brought up on it. And Wu-Tang Clan calling themselves Wu-Tang Clan is I don't really know where Wu-Tang Clan is from, but I believe it's like a reference to a Japanese movie, if I'm not mistaken. And that just gave us all this wonder of like, what's all that about? And through that, we got involved with animation. One of the greatest original anime movies is Akira. Like that's one of the first animation movies I saw. I think the second, if not the first animation movie that I actually saw was a animation called Ninja Scrolls, and it was definitely an adult animation. But I was hooked since then. The five fists to death, you already know. Ryan, are you deaf, dumb, and or blind? What are you talking about? I'm gonna let you rock though. I'm not gonna block. I'm just gonna wait for you to catch up because you're talking too fast. You're typing too fast. Listen. Maybe back out of the video, go watch some of my other videos, figure out who I am, and then come back and we can have a real conversation. I'm just arguing for better trained police. Okay, I mean, I can see why it's easy to jump to that conclusion, but I think you're missing it. You're missing the point. Police officers are not incentivized to keep peace. What they're incentivized to do is to tax the public. That's what police officers' job basically is. It's like, oh, I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling, so I'm just gonna pull over whoever I want to pull over based on my predetermined bias or my predetermined prejudice, and I'm gonna harass these people. I'm gonna harass these people in this particular neighborhood. I'm gonna harass people with a particular skin color. That's what police officers do. They're incentivized to do that, and in fact, if they don't do that, then they are reprimanded at the end of the month for not doing it a certain number of times. Police have quotas. They're not supposed to. It's actually illegal, but we all know that they do. So again, that's another difference between a police officer and a peace officer. A peace officer is not going to have quotas. It would be maybe even incentivized for peace officers to operate in a way where they keep peace so much so in the community that they don't have to do much, and that's where their recognition will come from. You know what I mean? Rachel McZest, what up? Thank you for the compliment. Smart Savvy, thank you for that. Thank you. The gift, I appreciate it. Thank you all for showing consideration for my yaps. Appreciate it. All right, so we are exactly at the 1 hour mark. I'm gonna let it rock for like another 3 or 4 minutes. I don't know if Camilla is finished. Camille, I'm here for you. If you got more to type, if you got more to talk about. I didn't get that email from you. I was kind of expecting that. I would love to have this conversation with you more in depth. But you know where I'm at. Every even day, I do these lives from 6 to 6:30, most likely 7 o'clock. It all really depends on how much errands I have to run after I get out of work. Bohemian, it's all good, love. I know you out there. I know you out there in the world. You always with me in spirit, but welcome. How many yaps can a narrow yap with a yapper yapping up? If a yapping her could. I'm actually I'm actually really quiet in real life. I don't talk a lot. But since I'm doing the lives, this is that's kind of what it's all about. It's just me talking my head off and fostering the community that we're building here. Hey, I got a gift for you all. Look at this. You see that baby up there? You see that baby in all those pictures? Can I zoom in? You see that baby? She's 5 now. Look at her. She's in freaking kindergarten. Can you believe it? Look how cute she is. Miss my baby. It's all good, Camille. It'll happen when it happens on God's time. I'm not stressing, but I appreciate you for jumping in the live again today and sharing this time, this energy with me. These lives are nothing without people like you, people like Bohemian, Daniel Berry, who shows up when he can or she can. Bohemian, Rachel, Smart Savvy, Unseen, huh? That's the fam. That's the community right there. Juju, Vibrant Liz, Mrs. Clayton, of course. Celestial Soul, if you still in here. Derek Warren, if you still in here. Oh, Derek Warren said he had things to do, so he probably boogie. But Serena Rose, that's the fam. And there's many more who we don't get to see every single time. Wagwan, way I deal with. Peace, Elijah. Rastafari. Everything cool and crisp? Excuse me for if my patois is not up to par, but it is my favorite. It's my favorite language to try to speak. Wow, 5. I can't believe how fast time goes by. I feel like my kids were just 5 not long. Yo, that's a fact, yo. That's a fact, yo. Time be flying. But you know what? I don't mind that. I had to do some inner work on time flying today because when I'm at work, the time don't be dragging. And when I have a break, when you get your little lunch break, your little 15-minute break or whatever, the time be flying. I'm like, yo, I need more time. But then I was like, yo, if that 30 minutes went by that fast, maybe the rest of the shift will go by that fast. And it's actually scientific fact that the time we have now, today, in 2025, is moving millimeters or micrometers faster. I said meters, seconds faster than what it was 20 years ago, 50 years ago, for numerous reasons. Polar shifts, tectonic plates shifting. China built this huge dam that changed the speed, the rotation of the planet. So time literally is moving faster than what we are used to. And you can feel it. Everything I read, that's what's up, bro. Or sis, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I don't like to assume people's identities. How's the job going? The job is per diem. It's basically a temp thing, but they love my work ethic. They love how I show up on time. They love how I get things done, so they call me back every day. So it's been pretty good. I only make you know, I'm actually gonna break one of the ten crack commandments right now. I forget which one it is, but Frank White, aka Biggie Small, says that you should never let no one know how much dough you hold, because jealousy breeds. Damn, I forgot how the bar goes. No, how because you know the jealousy ring. I forget what the bar is, but anyway, I'm gonna tell you how much I make. So I make $16 an hour at this job. So that equates to like $128 a day. That's like $600 a week. And I say all of that to say that is not enough. I'm sure you know that. I'm sure we all know that. Like, I know how to live within my means, so I'm good there. And I'm very grateful for that $600 because it beats a zero any day. But that is not enough. You can't do nothing with $600, yo. You can't do nothing. Like, as soon as I pay a couple of bills, it's all gone. And then I'm like, if I get paid Thursday morning, Saturday morning, I'm like, yo, where did my money go? I can't really save. Thank God that I trade, even though I haven't been trading a lot lately because I've been working so much. But I need to find a way to trade because I need to find a way to make passive income. Trading labor, time, energy, and your physical body for finance is not the way. And that's why we all, if we are participating in that way, that's why we stay broke. You have to 100%, like, it's an absolute necessity. Find a way to make your money work for you by making it a passive income, residual income. That being said, stay tuned for my book. My book is coming out as soon as I find a publisher for it. But yeah, CERN in Switzerland. Yep, CERN in Switzerland. Who knows what that's doing? Who knows? Someone posted the link to this live on Craigslist and I had to pay $5 for it. What? Why would you do that? Why? DUI Danny, don't ever do that. I don't even believe you, DUI Danny. I said Danny. Madeline, hi. How you doing? Welcome to the live. Yeah, so I am not gonna hold y'all. I'm gonna let this go. Camille, I hope you got something out of it. Again, I will be back in 2 days. If not, send me the email and we can schedule something deeper for a deeper dive. I would love to host you on the channel. In the next 30 hours, my friend, I gotta go, but I promise you I will. No doubt. I know we'll get to it. And that goes for anybody in the chat. If you ever want to go live with me, I open that to you. It's always an option. And we can talk about whatever you want to talk. I guarantee you it'll be fucking amazing. Because I'm a great conversationalist. You heard? And other people like to see 2 or more people talking. That's why podcasts are such a big thing. I feel like if you see a video on the internet and the person has headphones on with a red curtain behind them and the mic, we always pause because we think it, like, subconsciously it sends a message to our brain that this person might have something important to say. Yo, Mr. Derek, thank you for the puppy. Appreciate that. The husky. Okay, that's what's up. Boom. Yeah. Hope you all have a beautiful 2 days. I will see you all on the 20th. Let me go ahead and pull a prayer out. Boom, bang, bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam. Type of shit I'm on you wouldn't understand. All right. To the one of us who is many, I come to you, we come to you, in total awareness. Please grant my friends peace, progress, prosperity, patience and persuasion, pleasure and panacea in this ever persistent present moment of now. Ashe, aho, amen, in laek, aleken. All right, y'all. Peace. Oh, Camille, the email is eyenero@gmail.com. eyenero at gmail.com. Eyenero@gmail.com. Or just send me a DM. If you're on Instagram, I'm eyenero on Instagram. All right. Love you all. See you in a couple days. Be safe and stay dangerous. Peace.